Foot, fight!
All right, what is up, Utah fans? This is Joseph back with the Utah Utes Football Digest, and today we are talking about Utah versus Arizona State, a very, very exciting and pivotal matchup for Utah. We are heading into an extremely difficult stretch at the end of this season, guys. This is going to be a very tough go. Not only does the Big 12 look very good in general, but we have, a pretty tough schedule ahead of us. I'm going to show you guys what this looks like. Let's go ahead and put this on the screen. So this week we're going up against at home Arizona State. And then after that, we're going to be going up against BYU in Provo, which, say what you will about Provo. That for this game, they come out and they get loud. It'll be a very hostile environment. Then we have Colorado at home, which should be a somewhat, check mark win. But really it's not like Colorado is terrible. Like they're still a decent squad. And then right after that, we've got Cincinnati at home. I feel like we can win that game, but they just beat Iowa State. Cincinnati, Brendan Sorsby looks awesome. Like they are not a gimme game. Then right after that, we're going to Baylor in Waco. Baylor, I think their quarterback Sawyer Robertson is averaging like 400 passing yards a game. It is like crazy numbers. And then Kansas State, that should be a pretty easy win, especially at home. But the truth about Kansas State is they have held pretty tough in basically every game, even though their record's not great. They've held strong in every game. And then we're going to Kansas, and when we go to Kansas, Kansas has one of the highest flying offenses in the country. Like they really do put up points and they put up numbers. So I don't think that's exactly like a checkbox win either. So you guys really look at this. I think it's a statement about the Big 12, but it really is, guys. These coming weeks, everyone's been talking about it. Um, these are, like, you could say must win. I don't know if anything's a must win, but we are about to get tested. And the truth is, we have done a very, very impressive job of beating up on weaker teams. Like, I think that's fair to say. Like, we have looked exceptional when we're playing below average talent like a West Virginia, or low end talent like, some of the games we played earlier this year. That UCLA win looks a lot more impressive now that they beat Penn State, but UCLA did get beat by other Mountain West teams, so I'm not counting that as some huge victory. But either way, guys, you can look at that schedule. Again, Arizona State at home, BYU and Provo, Colorado at home, Cincinnati at home, Baylor at Waco, and then we've got and then we've got Kansas State at home. Should be a win there, and then at Kansas. So it is not. I'd say three of those games feel like solid wins, right? Like at least Kansas State and Colorado, I feel like you can almost go ahead and check those boxes. But yeah, but then I'd say like more in the middle, you got Baylor and Kansas, where they're not easy wins. You expect to win, but they're not going to be easy. And then you've got Cincinnati, BYU, and Arizona State, which, those are all three going to be tough to very difficult games. So we got a stretch ahead of us, guys, especially these next four games: Arizona State, BYU, Colorado, Cincinnati. This is where the season really kicks into gear, and every game is going to matter a ton. The Big 12, I feel very confident, will look very different at the end of this week than it did at the end of this next 3 to 4 week period than it did at the beginning. I think we'll see some contenders right now that'll drop off pretty hard. And also, I think we'll see some people that aren't considered contenders right now that'll kind of come out of the woodwork and really make a statement. Anyways, let's go ahead and dive in and start talking about the matchup. We'll start by talking about Devin Dampier and Utah's passing attack. Okay, guys, and here we are, Devin Dampier for Utah. So we've got 167 dropbacks, 152 passing attempts, 110 completions, so 72.4 completion percentage, right up there at the top of the Big 12. 11 TDs to 3 interceptions through the air. So those numbers look very good. Yards per attempt is towards the bottom of the Big 12 at 6.8. So there's a lot of dink and dunk, but I think most of that is more of a um, an outcome from how this offense runs. So you can't be too critical of him. That's kind of what he's asked to do. But then we look over here, and I do think this number is not bad, but not good either. His big time throws are 4, his turnover worthy plays are 4. And his turnover worthy plays, 4 turnover worthy plays on 110 completions, 152 attempts is really low. Like, it's a really low number. It's not a concerning number. I think what is concerning, just and it's been what a lot of people talked about, is the big time throw percentage is 2.5%, right? The turnover worthy play, it's less than 2.5%, but the big time throw is only 4. And I do think that's worth calling out a little. It's a clear problem that we haven't been able to hook up well in the intermediate and the deep game. I think we saw real good signs of life against West Virginia. But again, we do need to see it. We need to see it against a good team. Arizona State is a good team. I think that they can be susceptible to the pass game. And I do believe that Devin Dampier, there will come times in this game where he's going to be forced to make big plays. And one of the big questions is going to be, is he up to the challenge? Do I believe he is? Absolutely. Do I believe he can get it done? Absolutely. Do we need to see it? Yeah, we still need to see it. So hopefully we can get this done. But Devin Dampier, the numbers big time throw wise, we need to see more. We only have 4 big time throws on 152 attempts. We need to see a little better. We need to see a little more there. So now let's go ahead and move into Utah's receiving weapons. So we've really had some receivers step up to the plate and look very good. So I'm only going to go with guys that have had at least 12 targets just to make sure, that's what 2.5 targets a game, something like that. So, it's like not a crazy number of targets, but a decent. And you can see, guys, the trend has been continuing for a while. Dallin Bentley and Ryan Davis are the cornerstones of this offense. Tobias Merriweather, starting to click a little more with the offense, but 16 targets, 6 receptions, that is a rough number. You want to see better than that. Just being real about it, guys. You can't avoid that, right? We're talking 96 yards in the year. We're 5 games in. That's less than 20 yards a game. And a lot of people were really hyped about this guy. So, we need more from him. Hopefully he steps up, but we need more. This guy right here, JJ Buchanan, has really started to come on. He was kind of a lower note on the season, but making an impact with some of the big catches he had earlier in the year. But you can see, guys, he's almost the leading guy for receiving touchdowns. Dallin Bentley has one more than him, but he's tied with Ryan Davis. And Ryan Davis has 43 targets for 2 touchdowns, and JJ Buchanan has 13 targets for 2 touchdowns. Now, I think they're asked to do different things, so it's not a perfect comparison. Where Ryan Davis has 347 yards, he is asked to be the wide receiver / running back of this offense. Not that he actually gets carries, but his role is more of a catch the ball. Hopefully you can make a guy miss and get us a first down. Where JJ Buchanan is asked to be, hey, I'm going to give you some jump ball opportunities. You need to make those 50-50 balls. You need to make a play. So that's kind of JJ Buchanan is coming on. Like, a lot of these targets are in the past week or so. So exciting to see what he does. That's our receiving weapons. Again, Ryan Davis looks very good. Dallin Bentley looks extremely good. You can tell by the 82.1 grade, that's an elite grade. And I think it does show in the film. Each of these guys is, in that 50 to 60 yards per game range. So I absolutely expect both of these guys to be a key cornerstone of this game. But I do think one of the keys to this game is going to be to get the other guys involved, right? Let's go ahead and add in we have running backs in here. I'm going to take the target minimum down to 5, because we do have a running back that has been a bit of a weapon in the passing game a little bit here. Let's go ahead and take the targets down to 5 and look at him. You can see him here, guys. Wayshawn Parker. Wayshawn Parker, 6 targets, 6 catches, 91 receiving yards. I mean, you look at that. Wayshawn Parker is almost on only 6 targets, is like our 3rd best receiver almost outside of Tobias Merriweather. But he also has 2 touchdowns to the ground. I think that's another call out. if we're seeing so much action and so much playmaking ability from Wayshawn Parker, we'll talk about him being underused in the rushing game a little later. But get him involved in the passing game. I mean, that's we need a running back to be, or just anyone to be more involved in the passing game. And considering how good he looks, I wouldn't be surprised to see him get more involved. Larry Simmons, another guy that is a little underutilized on the year. He caught a big touchdown last week from Bird Ficklin, not last week, but our last game against West Virginia. I'd like to see him get more involved. Or I don't think he had a touchdown, actually, Larry Simmons. I think it was just a big play. But either way, looks like a lot of unused talent in the receiver room. Hunter Andrews is popping up now that I lowered the target rate. He's out for the season. But I really do believe we've got a talented group, and I want to see us, just use them a little more. I mean, doesn't it feel that way when you guys look at these numbers? Like, yes, Ryan Davis, Dallin Bentley both look very good, and I still agree with like they should get the majority of the targets. But then find a way to hook up better with Tobias Merriweather. Get JG Buchanan more involved. I mean, he's got a nearly 70% reception percentage with an average depth of target that's pretty good, I'd imagine. Let me check that out. Yeah, his average depth of target is 10.4. And what that basically means is, yeah, he's got 3 first downs. So when he's catching the ball, it's 33% of them are going for first downs. It's a good sign. So hopefully we can get him more involved. But also Wayshawn Parker, 6 for 6. So he's not dropping any passes, 2 touchdowns through the air, 91 yards. Let's hope we can spread that out a little bit. Now let's go ahead and move over to the defense as far as coverage goes. Let's take a look here. Again, like I mentioned, I do think there is some justification to say that Arizona State is susceptible through the air, at least more than they are on the ground. It's a pretty good defense overall, but they do have, if they have a weak spot, it is in the pass defense game. So this is Utah. Sorry about that. I was going to say, damn, those numbers actually look pretty decent, but that was for Utah. So, all right, Arizona State, guys. So let's go off total yards allowed in coverage. So right out the gate, I mean, clearly a weak spot. This cornerback, Javon Robinson, 140 coverage snaps. He's got a penalty, but more than that, he's allowing over a 50% reception percentage, over 60 with 61.9%, 21 targets, 13 catches, 274 yards. Guys, that is what, almost 60 yards a game, 55 yards a game. That is very high. That is an opportunity with 87 yards of yak. This should be a great opportunity for us. I am excited to see what we can do against a guy like this. He is the clear weak spot of their defense. So that's the kind of guy you want to target. Then we've got another corner here that's not exactly playing spectacularly, almost allowing a 75% catch percentage. So I'm going to imagine a lot of those are short, but he's letting up 75 yards of yak on the year. So that means he is susceptible to missing tackles, like I called it, 4 missed tackles. So if almost half your yards allowed, more than half of his yards allowed are yak yards. So he's missing tackles. That's a great opportunity. Get a guy like Ryan Davis one-on-one with him, catch the curl, break a tackle, which Ryan Davis has been showing that he could break tackles in the past couple of games. So I'd really like to see us take advantage of that. And then we got a guy that's good in coverage, right? This is their clear number one guy, 200 coverage snaps. You see here 25 targets, 13 catches allowed, just over 50%, which is not crazy low, but you can see most of them are just good plays by the receiver. And he's only allowed 19 yak yards, which means that basically, it's not even 2 yards of yak per catch. So there is some he is a decent corner. He, like, once they catch the ball, he's not allowing them to get much. He has gotten 2 penalties on the year, though. Maybe we could take advantage of that. And then we move over to the linebackers and safeties. So again, getting Wayshawn Parker involved against the linebackers, getting Dallin Bentley some yards. And I think you guys will kind of see this as we break down the numbers. There is susceptibility to work them in the passing game. So their linebacker here is 76 coverage snaps, 14 targets, 11 catches allowed. On 76 coverage snaps, that is a lot, just so we're on the same page. I mean, that means you're getting targeted 20% of the time you're in coverage. That's high. 11 catches allowed, 120 yards, and way more than half of those are yak yards. So 76 yak yards. How many tackles has he missed? Yep, he's missed 2 tackles. in 11 catches allowed. So that's pretty high. And then we move to some of these safeties. The safeties, Miles Rouser, 211 coverage snaps. That's a lot of coverage snaps. 19 targets, 15 catches allowed. Dallin Bentley should have a field day there. Almost half the yards are yak yards. And Dallin Bentley actually does really well against guys that are, and he's missed 5 tackles. So that's a lot of tackles missed in coverage on 15 catches allowed. So 33% of the time his guys are catching the ball, he's missing the tackle to follow it up. I love this matchup, guys, and you can keep going down the list here. There's other guys with lots of snaps. These linebackers allowing um, quite a bit of yards allowed in their coverage snaps. Like this guy, 7 targets, 7 receptions, 60 yards, 52 of them are yak yards. What are we going to see? Oh, who would have guessed he's missed 3 tackles, missed 4 tackles? I mean, what is the game plan here, guys? We see this number, right? These are just in coverage, just so we're on the same page. This is just how many tackles they've missed in coverage. These numbers are very high. Like this is a very strong opportunity for us to make plays against these defenders. I really hope we take advantage of what we can do after the catch. And then I think that opens up the game for Tobias Merriweather and Dallin Bentley to get downfield, JJ Buchanan to get one-on-ones, right? Just looking at this, guys, I think JJ Buchanan, or not JJ Buchanan, but Ryan Davis and Wayshawn Parker getting the ball in their hands, allowing them to make guys miss after the catch is going to be a key. But I think just initial thoughts, I think we have a pretty strong advantage in our passing game against their pass defense. So I think that's a really good initial look. So next we'll go ahead and move on to Utah's rushing attack against Arizona, or we'll go to offensive line next up real quick before we move to the rushing attack. So we'll just talk about pass blocking. Because like I said, we look very good when it comes to our passing attack against their pass defense. Now let's see how our offensive line looks pass blocking compared to how good they look rushing the passer. And I also want to put a caveat here. I think Arizona State's played a decent schedule. We've played a decent schedule, not a huge disparity there. But the number one thing for me is we have played an elite pass rush unit. Just so we're on the same page, guys. We have played West Virginia, who's a very good pass rushing team. They're not a good pass defense, but they rush the passer very well. And then we've also played Texas Tech, which is arguably the best pass rush in the country. And so look at how well our guys are grading out, even with that factored in. Seriously, guys, this is extremely impressive. So let's go ahead and add in 15. No, we're going to bump that up because it's offensive line. We'll try to get just our starters. Maybe we'll actually bump that up to 125 pass block. Yeah, so it's just our starters here. And you look at this, everyone's grading above 70 except Jaron Kump, and he's pretty close. Spencer Fano has the 4 penalties. Outside of that, he's had a great start to the year. I believe like 3 of those penalties were against Texas Tech. It was like just a bad game for him. Okay, then we look at pressures, guys. Check this out. I think this really stands out as extremely impressive. So pressures allowed. So Caleb Lomu is actually showing 5. They must have gone into the details and lowered that. So that's a really good sign. So he's allowed 5 pressures in 5 games. Solid number. And I would even say, like, when you look at it, if there is a weak spot of our offensive line, it would be Caleb Lomu, but he's not a weak spot, just to clarify. I know a lot of people did not like that I called out Caleb Lomu. I just think when you're talking about it, I think I'd like more. But now that I'm showing him at 5 pressures in 5 games, and you consider it's on 180 pass block snaps, that's actually a very good number. So I'll take back a little bit of the criticism on Caleb Lomu. Again, I think if he is not doing quite as well as the rest of the offensive line, but I still think he's doing a great job. And I think we'll get to see him shine this week against Arizona State. We've gone up. I mean, when you look at these numbers, guys, we've allowed 5, 10, 14 pressures in 5 games on this offensive line. And they have gone up against a freaking gauntlet of pass rushers. I mean, these are really impressive numbers, guys. And you look like the actual pressures, none of these guys have allowed a sack. I mean, this is really impressive. And I think our offensive line is, from these numbers, doing their job and performing as one of the best in the country, as we'd expect. So really good numbers at the gate here, guys, and you can see the pass blocking grades are incredible. Like as a unit, it is really really impressive. So now let's see what West Virginia is going to be coming at us with. Again, none of our guys have allowed more than one pressure per game. Most of them are at about half a pressure per game. So we have just a unit that is going to be tough to get a pass rush against. So if Arizona wants to rush the passer, they're probably going to have to bring pressure, which will leave um, our guys in one-on-one coverage, which we had a good passing advantage against their passing defense. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take their pass rush snaps down to 12, or let's do 20. So it's like 4 a game. So that should get guys that'll at least be in a bit of the rotation. So let's take a look here at the win percentages. So win percentage, this Prince Dorba guy, you can even see by the grade, the 83.9. He's at a 15.2% win percentage, 12 pressures on 119 pass rush snaps. So personally, like 12 pressures on 119 pass rush snaps is pretty good. It's not elite. The win percentage is very good, but the pressure percentage is not elite. But he looks like a good pass rusher. But I would feel confident considering who we've gone against this year. If Caleb Lomu or Spencer Fano has to go one on one with this guy, I think they'll hold their own well and limit this guy to maybe one or two pressures. I mean, I don't feel like that's a bold claim. And when I look at that, I feel confident about that. This Clayton Smith guy, not a crazy high win percentage, but he does have a ton of pressures. Sometimes with these guys, they're just fast, explosive guys. So if they do win, the odds that they get back there and cause a pressure is very high. So I'd say considering his win percentage isn't anything crazy, I'm not too concerned. I'm going to take a guess. Yeah, these are both edge rushers. I feel good. Caleb Moon, Spencer Fano against those guys. That feels like a good matchup. And you guys, we look at the rest of this. No one really impresses. No one has a really high win percentage. And this guy's their next best like pressure rate guy. And it's not super impressive. This guy's 66 pass rush snaps with 0 pressures. I mean, what the hell is that? Anyways, I honestly, guys, as I break this down, I think our passing attack looked to have a big advantage against their pass defense. Our offensive line looks to have, I think their edge rushers one looks good, the other one looks, solid as well. But we have two of the best offensive tackles in the country. And they've like between the two of them, they've allowed 7 pressures in 5 games. Two of those games, one of those games against arguably the best pass rush in the country. It's like specifically the edge rushers are elite. And then the other game is against one of the uh, good pass rushes overall in the country in West Virginia. So, I mean, guys, this is a big win for us. I mean, like just looking at these numbers, it looks like our pass game could be dominant. I just initial thoughts. I really think we could have a very dominant performance through the air. I think the pressure is going to be on Devin Dampier. Like if the coaches are looking at the same thing I'm looking at, I think it's clear Devin Dampier is going to have the game on his back a little bit, and he's set up for success here, and hopefully he can get it done. Next, we'll move on to our rushing attack versus their rushing defense. Okay, guys, now we are looking at the rushing defense for Arizona State. And this is unique here, guys. So, one, it looks like they rotate in a lot of guys when it comes to downs that are likely to be rushing downs. But then two, it looks like teams just might not run against them a ton. I mean, just as a stat, they are only allowing 2.5 yards per carry in FBS play. They are a very good rushing defense at the service level. And I think some of these numbers back it up, but I do think this is a little kind of two stories as I break this down. So one, you look at their guys that have it's sorted by total run defense snaps. And some of these guys that have a lot of run defense snaps have missed a lot of tackles. Like this safety, 5 tackles missed. 22.7% of his tackles are misses. Then you go down here, another safety. He has 3 tackles made, 4 assisted, and 6 missed tackles, nearly a 50% missed tackle percentage. If we had a guy like that on our team, I'd be, losing my mind. 50%? Can you imagine? 50% of your tackles you're missing? So those guys are both safeties as well, which means if you do get to the second level, you can break one away. But guys, you look at this, they must be rotating a ton. Look how many guys have 30, 40, 50, 60 snaps. I mean, this is a huge list. And this is only counting guys with 20 plus snaps. So they are rotating a lot of guys. Must be overall on defense. They also had a lot of guys, a lot of pass rush snaps. So they try to keep their guys fresh and they rotate talent in quite a bit. These linebackers tell a little bit different of a story. Very good run defense grades. So getting second level, getting to those linebackers and pushing them around a little to give our running backs lanes is going to be important. From what I'm seeing, though, like you look at their edge rushers and their defensive interior, it doesn't look super impressive. They're not missing tackles, but defensive linemen usually don't miss tackles. They're big guys. If they get an opportunity to tackle you, they usually make the tackle. But their run defense grades are nothing super impressive. And a lot of these guys just how real are these sample sizes? I mean, 33, 39. So yes, they're only allowing 2.5 yards a carry. So I would say like respect it. But when I look at these numbers, guys, outside of these two really good linebackers, I don't think there's anyone that stands out as incredibly impressive. And you look, their corners look pretty decent and not missing tackles. So their corners are pretty decent in run coverage. So what that tells me is we're going to want to run up the gut. That's where they're susceptible. And obviously their linebackers are good and their linebackers will be up the middle. But if you can get our really good offensive line second level and let them make contact with these linebackers, if our guys can get to the safeties, we can break tackles and make plays and make big plays. So this is my thought looking at this is it's going to be difficult to get those consistent 3 to 5 yards. Like that's where the number one match will be. Can we get second level? Can we lock up these linebackers and push them around? Which I don't think that's, outside the realm of possibility. Like our offensive line looks very good. But then the next question is once we get second level, how many of those do we break away? Because it does look like they're very susceptible to once you get to the next level, their safeties can't tackle you. And if you're running between the tackles, their corners won't be as much of a factor. Now, I'm sure the corners will come in and help clean up every now and then. But if you can get to these safeties and take advantage of them and break some tackles, you're turning 8-yard carries into 15-yard carries, turning 15-yard carries into 25-yard carries. I think that's a big opportunity for us, and I'm excited to see what we do there. Now let's go ahead and move over to our running backs. Again, I think there's been a misconception around Utah's rushing attack because we are ranked pretty high in the country. We had one really rough game against Texas Tech where I think we only rushed for like three yards a carry, 3.4 yards a carry, something like that. But outside of that, guys, we have run at will on people. Like Wayshawn Parker, 280 yards on 40 carries. That's 7 yards a carry on 40 carries. That is, just so you guys understand, that is an elite number. I want to just kind of expand this to give you guys an idea of what we're talking about here, like where he ranks among college football players. So let's go with just FBS. So this is, D1 football, the old term. I know a lot of people say, oh, you don't call it D1 anymore. Everyone knows what the hell I mean when I say D1. So screw you. So we're going to go with only guys with 4+ carries or 40+ carries. So where does Wayshawn Parker rank in the country among guys with 40+ carries? He is 14th in the country with 7 yards a carry. And some of these guys have less touchdowns, right? A lot of them have more. But I'm just saying, like you factor out some of these guys, and he is in an elite category. Just so we're on the same page, guys. Look how many guys have this, right? He's number 14 in the country, 7 yards a carry, and there's a ton of guys with 40 carries that aren't even in his hemisphere. Just so we're all on the same page here. So I think it's a really good sign. I think it's trending in the right direction for us. And I think Wayshawn Parker is a guy we're going to want to get involved. I'm gonna go back to just showing Utah because I want us to focus a little more on our rushing attack. And so I'm just gonna look at. I'm actually gonna go ahead and just put it to 3 carries, just so that doesn't include anyone that just got one random carry. But you can see here. Here's the group: Bryce Duke, 12 rushing attempts for 51 yards. Nakari Rogers, 60 carries for 250 yards, 4.2 yards a carry. Now, I heard some criticism of him on the PFF show that he needs to get it up. I don't agree with the criticism. I actually think his true yards per carry number is probably closer to the 5 to 5.5 yards a carry. You look here, guys, he has first downs. Where are they? Oh, yeah, where's the first down? Yeah, right here. 23 first downs. So he's running a lot of short yardage situations and he has 4 touchdowns. So that'll ding your yards per carry quite a bit. And I think he's doing an awesome job. He showed a lot of signs of life last week. And you look, guys, he has 5 carries of 10 plus yards and he has 2 carries of 15 plus yards. I do want to point back, though, guys, Wayshawn Parker 11 forced missed tackles on 40 carries. I mean, he's almost at 30% on the year, 8 carries of 10 plus yards, 4 carries of 15 plus yards. Like I spoke about, one of the big things that is going to win us this game is once we get second level, breaking tackles on these safeties and turning it from a 10-yard gain into a 20-yard gain. Wayshawn Parker looks absolutely like the guy to get that done. I really, really hope we get him out there and let him take advantage of this. He does have 2 fumbles on the year. I believe both of those fumbles were against Texas Tech. It challenged me if I'm wrong. I'm not positive. I know one of them was. But either way, like, get this guy involved. Like, we saw the matchup, guys. The clear advantage is taking advantage of their guys that miss a lot of tackles. Let's use him. These next 3 to 4 games are the time to let Wayshawn Parker cook. Nakari Rogers is still going to be super beneficial for us in short yardage, goal line situations. But I want Wayshawn Parker to have 15 to 20 carries this game. I think if we don't get him involved more, especially guys, just get him a lot of snaps. I mean, you look like not only what is he a deadly weapon in the rushing attack, he's a deadly weapon in the passing attack. This is a game that where we can really you guys tell me if you feel differently in the comments, but when I'm reading the tea leaves here, it feels like the clear message is get Wayshawn Parker involved. Passing game, rushing game, very clearly to me right now. So that's going to be the rushing attack. I again, Daniel is a guy I want to see more from. Bryce Duke seems to be doing a decent job. Daniel Bray is very electric. I think this might not be the game to get him super involved in. If we do pull ahead, which I'll talk about later, maybe we can get him some carries. But let's focus on Wayshawn and Akari for now. I mean, Wayshawn should have 15 to 20 carries this game. I will really be surprised if we don't see at least 10 carries for Wayshawn. So that is my thought on our rushing attack versus their rushing defense. I think we look strong. I think it looks like a good matchup for us. I didn't think that was going to be the case heading into the game. Again, they're only allowing 2.5 yards a carry, but I think when you break it down a little deeper, the story looks good for Utah. So that's my thoughts there. Next, we'll go ahead and start looking at Arizona State's offense versus our defense. Okay, guys, and this is where we start talking about Arizona State's pass offense. And this is a big part of their game. Let me be really clear. Sam Levitt is legit. If you guys are not aware, go watch some of his highlights from this year. Go watch the Utah game from last year. This is before Cam Scatterbo came on as like the phenom he became as the year went on. And we were actually, he made some plays on us, but overall early in the game, we were doing a decent job of locking him down. And Sam Levitt, I remember that drive right before halftime. The game was very competitive, beginning to end for Utah versus Arizona State. But I remember that drive right before halftime when Sam Levitt was just looking like a superstar, breaking tackles, getting out of the pocket, running the ball, making some guys miss. I mean, he is a very dynamic runner. I'll touch on that in a second. Yeah, obviously our quarterback can run very well too. But I do want to, if you haven't seen it, guys, go watch some highlights on this guy this year like that. I'm sure a lot of you guys know the play I'm talking about. That run he made against TCU where he just puts guys in the spin cycle and just breaks like 2 or 3 tackles. He is very good. Like, just so we're on the same page, like he's going to make plays. I feel like throughout the game, he will make some plays. So we're not just going to shut him down, but we're going to do, the best job we can to contain this guy and limit what he can do. Now, through the air, I think one glaring number is he's only completing 62.4% of his passes. So that's pretty low. So a little erratic there. And yards per attempt is only 6.6 yards per attempt. Let me see here. What is going on? I'm going to refresh this screen. I don't know why it's like freezing up on me. All right. Okay, here we go. So average depth of target is only 8.5 yards per attempt, which is right, about where where Devin Dampier is. And Devin Dampier is completing 73%. This guy's only completing 62.4. His touchdowns are only 8. His INT's 3. That's a worse TD to INT ratio than Devin has. And then you look here, this is where the numbers look a little better for Sam, is 11 big time throws to 8 turnover worthy plays. So what that tells me is if he's taken enough shots downfield to make 11 big time throws and have 8 turnover worthy plays, this offense is a little like feast or famine with how they run their passing attack, where they're either going really short or they're going deep, right? They're taking big shots. And when we get into who their receivers are, specifically one of them, who's one of the best receivers of college football, that'll be pretty evident, right? They have a good passing game. Again, only 63% completion percentage, which we can make quarterbacks with low completion percentages have a bad time, right? We do really well in man coverage. We run man coverage more than almost any team in the country. And so that should be a good sign for us. If he's already struggling to complete passes, that'll look good. So I'd say his numbers look solid, nothing crazy impressive. Pretty similar to what we saw from Devin Dampier, just a worse completion percentage. So I'd say probably through the passing area, we have probably a better quarterback when it comes to throwing the ball. Just being honest about it. That's what the numbers show me. And then we look here, guys. So we're going to go by minimum targets, and we're going to go to all their receivers that have received 12 targets. Okay. This is all their guys that are getting involved. Now, I also know just one caveat is they do have a wide receiver that hasn't been involved that should be back this week. Don't quote me on his name, but that actually should make things a little easier on Jordan Tyson. But so whoever that guy is, I forget his name off the top of my head, but if that guy gets in, he could be an impact player as well, and help their passing game out a bit. But let's focus on Jordan Tyson for now. Just to give you guys an idea, he has more catches than any other receiver in the Big 12. I think he's second in receiving yards for the Big 12. This is a dynamic athlete, Jordan Tyson, 483 yards. That means he's just under 100 receiving yards per game. And you look here, guys, contested catches, 10 contested catches. He's pulled in 5 of them. And he's broken 5 missed tackles, and he's caught 27 first downs. So, yes, he's good at making contested catches, but more than that, when you look at it here, I want you to take a look. So that 25 first downs or 27 first downs, that's one of the most impressive numbers. That's like 6 more than any other receiver in the Big 12, and he doesn't have that many more receptions. So take a look here. So boom, yards per reception is 12.4. Where is it? So yak yards, not crazy high, 5.3. It's good, but it's not crazy high. He's only broken 5 missed tackles. A lot of those are just him, they have to give him space because he's so deadly over the top. But look at this. Average depth of target is 10.6 and 27 first downs on 39 targets, or on 39 receptions, 58 targets. So they take shots to him. He's only catching 67% of the balls, which isn't super high, but like when he's catching it, he's averaging 12.4 yards a carry and he's getting a first down. So the math adds up in his favor. And almost every catch is going for a first down, 75% of his catches. So to be very clear about this matchup, us finding a way to contain this guy and hopefully, keep him in that 50-yard range is a big part of this game. Now they'll have that other receiver. He could be a playmaker, but I think we can only go off what we see. And we do see that this guy's a monster playmaker. When you look at their other receiving weapons, it looks a lot similar to what we have at Utah, right? Where we have a couple guys doing a lot, where they have Jordan Tyson doing a lot, and no one else is really doing a ton. Like this guy, Mediair, he's going to catch some balls. He's a tight end. He's gotten 20 targets, 17 catches for 160 yards, but I wouldn't exactly call that dynamic, right? 20 targets, 17 catches, 160 yards. he'll be out there. He'll probably get some catches, but I feel pretty confident we'll do a good job of keeping him shut down. He's averaging 6.9 yards of yak after the catch, so that'll be a thing to keep an eye on. But either way, I'm not that impressed by him. Just try to stay on him. Almost all of his yards are from yak, right? So stay on him, keep the coverage tight, don't let him catch the ball, and we should be good there, right? 20 targets, 17 receptions. They're just dinking dunking him, letting him break in some tackles after the catch. Now, a real receiving weapon as well is Raleek Brown. Raleek Brown was a former five-star recruit at USC, so we all might remember him. 107 receiving yards, and he has 22 targets, 18 catches, so he does get involved in the receiving game, and he has forced 6 missed tackles on his catches. So he will be a weapon, guys. He will be someone we want to keep an eye on, making sure we tackle these guys in space, whether it's this tight end or this running back, will be very important. This guy, 17 targets, 5 catches, looks really similar to Tobias Merriweather. You can see here 4 yards of yak after the catch. That's decent, but it's really 5 catches. We're talking about a guy that's probably getting his shots downfield. I'm going to guess he's lined up out wide. Yeah, 91% of his snaps are out wide. So not super worried about this guy. He's had 3 contested catches, only caught 1 of them. He reminds me a lot of Tobias Merriweather. So we'll have to keep an eye on whoever the other guy is as well. He could make an impact, but Jordan Tyson is going to be the key with Raleek Brown, with Mateer. Make sure we tackle them in open space. Make sure the coverage is tight. Don't let them get open. But Jordan Tyson, having our guys one-on-one with him in tight coverage, like I think Cotton is going to have to take a lot of these snaps due to the size, right? We need a big, tall corner. Maybe we'll get some of the other guys involved as well, but having some safety shade over the top is going to be important. We don't want him one-on-one too much with no help over the top, because that's where he gets you, is he gets behind your corner and just makes these tough catches look easy. So now let's go ahead and move on to our corners, okay? So how does our DB and linebacker room look in coverage against this Arizona State receiving team or passing game? So taking a look here, boom. All right, go Utes. Okay, so let's go off total yards allowed. So Jackson Benny has allowed the most yards with 177, but he's kind of a weird one. It's only 61.9% of receptions, but so like of targets are turning into catches. But again, that's on that is a little high, but he has 3 interceptions. He has one of the highest interception rates in the country. He is a good player, but he's kind of like boom or bust, where he's either letting up a big play or making a big play. So I'd say he's kind of neutral, where I'd expect him to make some impact here and there. I don't know if he's the guy I'd want to put on Jordan Tyson. Maybe I could see the argument for it, because if you pick off 1 or 2 of those passes, it could be a big deal. I wouldn't be shocked to see them rotate Jackson Benny. I think he's playing mainly in the slot, though. Does it say? No, it doesn't say here, but I think he plays mainly in the slot. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Blake Cotton and Jackson Benny kind of take turns covering him. But I do think maybe Blake Cotton makes more sense. Blake Cotton is allowing 61.5 reception percentage, but in 94 coverage snaps, guys, he's only allowed 90 yards. So that's about half the yards of Jackson Benny, where he's had almost as many snaps as him, 16 snaps less. And yards after the catch, he's only allowed 30, where nearly half of Jackson Benny's yards allowed are after the catch. So I could see us doing some sort of rotation with these 2 guys, but I do think if I was an Arizona State fan, I'd feel like there is a mismatch here where we don't have the greatest defense when it comes to handling Jordan Tyson. I think it's going to be a challenge for Morgan Scalley, and that is not an easy challenge to fix. Oh, you know what? One thing I do want to touch on before I move on. I didn't touch on Devin Dampier. We all know he's a dynamic runner, but I do want to touch on what's his name, Sam Levitt, just to give you guys an idea of what he brings in the rushing game. So on the season, Devin Dampier, or actually, we're not talking about rushing yet. So I'll take off their running back so you don't see it, won't spoil the surprise. But you guys look here, Sam Levitt, 46 rushing attempts, 5 touchdowns, only 1 fumble, and 349 rushing yards. 268 of those yards are after contact. He has 16 carries of 10 plus yards, and just a very versatile runner, 23 first downs and 1 carry of 15 plus yards, but still 23 or was it 16 carries of 10 plus yards. That means he's averaging over 3 yards per game of carries that go for 10 plus yards. So he's a dynamic weapon. So like as much as like I think we're going to have to shut down their passing attack, part of the game in our pass defense is going to be containing Sam Levitt. So I'm going to go back to our coverage guys, but I did want to touch on that for a second. Okay. So going back over to Utah's pass defense, the good news is our linebackers and safeties should do pretty well, right? So we go over here and look at our guys. So Jackson Benny's playing corner. Oh, wait, let me take off. I'm going to go to minimum snaps and I'm going to go to 25. Okay. So our safeties and our corners are going to be the ones really going up against that tight end and the running back. And the trick with those two seems to be not missing tackles. So looking at that, Nate Ritchie's out for the game, so that's a little volatile what's going to happen there. But let's be honest, Nate Ritchie has had a really big missed tackle problem, and I don't I can't imagine it's going to be incredibly tough to replace him. I hope I don't sound like a hater there. Guys, you look here, 26.7% missed tackle percentage. That's a problem, right? Now, Lander Barton does have a 40% missed tackle percentage, so that doesn't look great, but he's only had 5 opportunities to make a tackle, where Nate Ritchie's numbers at 13 per on 13 tackle opportunities in coverage. So actually, as we look at it, Tao Johnson's a little high here too. So I would imagine our linebackers and safeties are going to get tested in their ability to shut down these running backs and tight ends after the catch. Um, Hopefully, we can get Demooney involved a bit because it doesn't look like they're getting open a ton. They're just catching short passes and turning them up. And Lavani Demooney has missed 0 tackles. He's made 0 tackles in coverage, but he's also made a bunch of tackles in the run game. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about there. I think it'll be interesting to see what we do with our safeties and linebackers against their passing attack. But also, guys, making sure on their pass plays, if nothing's open, that we are able to shut down Sam Levitt's ability to run. I guarantee you that will be a big part of this game, as it was last year when we played Arizona State. He is a dynamic runner. So now we're going to move over to their rushing attack versus our passing attack, or versus our rush defense. Oh, actually, I forgot. Just like last time, I forgot to talk about our rushing defense versus their offensive line, where I do think this is going to be another favorable matchup for us. So, again, getting back there is not going to be enough. We're going to have to make sure that we actually take advantage of the opportunities and don't let Sam Levitt scramble out. Don't let him go make a big play after we get the pressure. But we do have an elite pass rush unit, and I don't think they have an elite offensive line. So, guys, John Henry Daly has 22 pressures on the year on 113 pass rush snaps. So 20% of his pass rush snaps are going for a pressure. He's winning on 29.2% of his snaps. Looks awesome. Lance Holzclaw, another guy will want to get more involved. 38 pass rush attempts, and he has a 17.1% win percentage that's led to 6 pressures. So really good there. Jonathan Hall is another guy on 27 pass rush snaps. He's got a 15.4% win rate, and he's created 5 pressures on 27 pass rush snaps. It's a really strong number. Paul Fitzgerald is actually out for this game, so I won't factor him in, but he's looked good too. Logan Fano as well is about 12% or 13% of his pass rushes are turning into pressures at 8 pressures for 64 pass rush. And then he is at a 14.5% win percentage on his pressures. So you guys remember when we looked at their pressures, they only had 2 guys that were above 10%. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 4 or 5 of those 6 are at 14.5% or higher. So we bring a deadly pass rush. And then as you go down more defensive interior wise, I guess I'll open it up a bit because not a ton of our guys have more than 25. I'll go to 20 so we can get some more people in the scope here. But Cash Dillon even has 57 pass rush snaps and a 7.8% win percentage. I mean, we're going to bring some heat to these guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at their offensive line and how they handle the pass rush because that'll be a big factor. I'm going to keep saying it, but the other big factor is finishing the play. Sam Levitt will make you look bad if you get back there and you don't finish the play. So that's going to be a big part of the matchup. So let's see, how does Arizona State look when it actually comes to pass blocking? So again, our offensive line is elite, but also has gone up against some really high end talent. We'd only allowed 14 pressures. We're going to take these pass block snaps up to 125. So we're only looking at their starting offensive line. So taking a look here, guys, this unit. So most of the unit looks pretty good, right? Their tackle, Ian Acre has allowed 5 pressures. Obigbo, I actually did a video on him for the channel. I think he's allowed 3 pressures, and Coleman has allowed 3 pressures. So those numbers look solid. But then Kyle Scott here, that he's a guard. So like in the interior, usually you don't see guys allowing tons of pressures, and he's allowed 11 pressures. That's pretty alarming. And our defensive interior, we have some guys that for an interior player has a good pass rush, like Cash Dillon. So I wouldn't be surprised to see us start creating pressure up the middle, where if you can create pressure up the middle on a guy like Sam Levitt, that gives your edge rushers ability to contain, which is where he thrives, is getting out of the pocket and making plays. So that's a good sign for us. And then also Josh Atkins here. He's an offensive tackle, and he's giving up 8 pressures on 182 snaps. So that's almost a 5% pressure rate right around there, which, if you're allowing that, John Henry Daly is going to come eat you alive, bud. And even against Ian Acre, however you say that, where it's 5 pressures allowed on the season, I'm not sure who they've gone up against off the top of my head when it comes to elite pass rushers, but that's not the same as what Caleb Lomu's had to deal with. He's had to deal with very good pass rushers. So that 5 pressures, that's not, apples to apples. And so I think we have a good matchup here. I think our defense should eat pretty well. They're actually allowing a lot of pressure on their quarterback, especially Kyle Scott and Josh Atkins. I think we'll see a good pass rush in this game. We have a good advantage there. I think they might have an advantage though when it comes to their number 1 receiver against our DBs. So that'll be a test. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But they're at least our pass rush does have an advantage. So getting back there is going to be a key part of this game. Do not let Jordan Tyson get downfield and have Sam Levitt having all day to throw. So that'll be the passing attack for Arizona State. Now we'll move into their rushing attack. All right, guys, and I'm going to show you their run blocking numbers. I'll show you ours as well. I don't think I showed them earlier. I don't take a ton of value in them, just being honest with you. Like these all look average to below average, and then one of their guys is bad. But I just being real about it, I just don't take a ton of credence in it. I just don't find them to be that accurate. Like if you look at our run blocking, it definitely looks better than theirs, but they always like give us these stats about how we're getting 2.7 yards per carry before we allow contact. And you look here, like it doesn't add up with what you see in the numbers. I just don't take a ton of value in the run blocking grades. Again, Spencer Fano's looks great. Dallin Bentley's looks very good. I would just say when it comes to run blocking, I'm just not going to touch on it too much. I just don't think it's worth it. I showed you the grades, so if you find them very valuable, go ahead. I do think run blocking in itself is valuable. I'm just saying I don't think the grades are that valuable. I hope that makes sense. So let's go ahead and take a look at our rushing defense. So, we looked at in the pass defense, some of our guys were allowing quite a bit of broken tackles. Let's see how our rushing defense looks. I know we did allow some missed tackles. We missed some tackles against, let's take this down to 25 to account. Okay. We did allow some missed tackles against West Virginia when they were running the ball. But you look here, guys, when it comes to run defense grades, I mean, we have some guys with a ton of run defense snaps with good grades, and Lander Barton and John Hall. So similar to them, where their 2 linebackers were standing out as great players on their defense. And on top of that, they've each got 8 stops. Just to touch on Arizona State, because I didn't while I was talking about them, they also have a lot of stops as well. Like their guys blow up plays and cause negative plays, but in a similar amount to ours. So they do cause negative plays. But again, my criticism of their missed tackles is still there. So Nate Ritchie's going to be out for Utah. And again, anyone's super concerned about this. I'm not saying he's going to be easy to replace across the board, but his missed tackle percentage on 20 tackle attempts, he missed 7. I mean, that's really high. So I think at least in the rushing defense, it could be a good thing that he's out. I'm not saying it'll be a good thing, but it could be. So moving on to rushing defense. So let's go ahead and look at these guys. So you look at a guy like Teo Johnson. He's missed 2 tackles on 125 run defense snaps, but the 2 tackles is only 15.4% missed, and he's got 4 stops. So looking solid there. Teo Johnson, solid run defender as a safety. Jonah Laia, defensive interior. He's missed 0 tackles, made 11, and has 9 stops. So when he does get back there, he blows up plays. 7.9% of his snaps turn into stops. So that's a good look. Lander Barton, 8 stops. John Hall, 8 stops. And these guys barely over 100, so they're right in that 7% range as well. So they can get back there, get hungry, and make plays. Elijah Davis, missing 0 tackles, has 3 tackles. Overall, I think it looks pretty good. John Henry Daly only missed 1 tackle, 13 tackles, 8 stops. I mean, our guys can cause some havoc back there, and we do rotate in a ton of guys, obviously. I don't see too many concerns here. Nate Tillman's a guy that does have a decent amount of missed tackles, and I think he could be the guy filling in for Nate Ritchie, but we'll see how that goes there. But I'd say overall, I don't see any big concerns from our rushing defense, and our rushing defense has been pretty good. I think in the late third quarters and fourth quarters of games, we have tended to see that missed tackle number go up. So I know a lot of people have been asking, like, oh, are they practicing it? I don't think it's as much of them not being good tacklers, because like beginning of these games they actually do a really good job usually. Like obviously there's like a play or two where they'll miss some tackles, but like as a rule it seems to come more towards the end of the game. So now we're going to look at the rushing attack for Arizona State, and they do have a good rushing attack. Again, they've got Sam Levitt. We talked about his rushing numbers. They're super impressive. He's one of the top rushing quarterbacks in college football. But now let's look at their rushing attack, okay? So we're going to go off just guys that have had at least 12 carries just to make sure, we feel confident that they'll probably be in the game, because I'm not going to go through every game to find out who was in and all that stuff. But so 12 carries. All right. Boom. So taking a look here, guys, they've got Raleek Brown. He's averaging 6.6 yards a carry, and he's got 506 yards. It's 100 rushing yards a game. He's a dynamic player. Again, former 5-star recruit, 2 touchdowns, 1 fumble. He's going to be a big part of this. Containing him and stopping him is going to be tough. 6.6 yards a carry is no joke. He's fast, he's explosive, and he can make you miss. Looking at his missed tackles, let's see. Does it not have? Oh, yeah, 29 missed tackles, guys. 77 carries, 29 missed tackles. That's like 35, 40%. I mean, this guy makes people miss. He makes you look stupid. 15 of his carries have gone for 10 plus yards and 8 for 15 plus yards. So even though only 15 have gone for 10 plus yards, which isn't crazy high, it's good, but it's not crazy high. If he gets going, he causes 8 of those have gone for 15 plus. So if he gets going, there's a 50+% chance that he's taking it for a really big gain. Kyson Brown, 106 yards, 5.9 yards a carry. He's not getting as much play as Kanye Udo, who has 39 carries, 156 yards, 4 yards per carry. How many first downs does he have? Only 11. So honestly, I don't think either one of those two really impressed me a ton. I don't think Brown has enough of a sample size for me to really feel confident about his 5.9, and Udo only has 4 yards a carry, and he only has how many first downs? Was it 11 first downs on? So it's not like crazy. Neither one of these guys is a huge centerpiece of their offense, and I don't think Udo looks crazy impactful, even though he will be in the game. Where Raleek Brown does look like an animal. And again, we have been susceptible to guys that can break tackles. So I do think that it will be a bit of a tough matchup for us in our rushing defense versus their rushing offense. So that's where we'll close it out for the rushing attack for Arizona State against our rushing defense. Stick around. I'm going to give my final prediction and my final thoughts for you guys. Okay, guys, now I am going to give my final prediction and my final thoughts. One weird thing. So it looks like, you guys can check if this information is correct, but I was just when I was pulling it up to use this as the backdrop, it looks like this game's on October 11th. And last year when we played Arizona State, it was on October 11th. So both games exactly on October 11th, 2 years in a row. Just an odd thing. So both teams are 4-1. Arizona State's 2-0 in conference play. I believe their one loss is to Mississippi State, which doesn't seem like a great team, but they've got SEC talent, so good team. Utah 4-1, 1-1 in Big 12 play. Our one loss is to the team that seems to unanimously be the favorite to win the Big 12, and in my opinion, could actually make a CFP run with the talent they have. They do look extremely good. I think with Will Hammond, Texas Tech could be even better. I actually felt like when I watched Will Hammond and then I watched Baron Morton, as good as Baron Morton looked, I felt like there were times where I felt like he was holding them back because Will Hammond looked that much better. It was really he looks like a monster at QB. Um, but anyways, guys, I think when we look at this matchup, you can see here they have Utah with almost a 70% chance to win the game. It's a home game. I think we are sick of losing at home. I am sick of losing at home. I really hope we turn things up a notch and get this win. It is honestly, I think people have been posting the stat all the time. It's like we're 0-5 since we joined the Big 12 in conference home games. I mean, that's crazy. Obviously, most of that is because our quarterback situation was terrible, but so this is kind of what we saw. I'm going to break it down. So I think the big thing heading into this game that I was worried about was Arizona State only allowing 2.5 yards per carry on the ground, which is a strong, impressive number for their defense. But digging into it deeper, I don't think that's going to be the case against us. I thought the rushing numbers actually like just even to even or seeing what I thought we would do, I actually think we had a bit of an advantage there when I looked at how many guys that have problems missing tackles in their teams. Their linebackers are good, but I mean our offensive line should be able to get second level. Now I'm not guaranteeing we're going to just run the ball all over them, but I do think we actually look like there's some advantages there, and we have some opportunity to make plays in the running game. Now, I do think in our passing attack, I think their safeties looked susceptible. I mean, they had guys that were allowing 250 plus yards. I mean, there's a big advantage for us in our ability to throw the ball compared to their ability to defend the pass. Um, Devin Dampier has gone up against some great defenses and looked very good, especially. Actually, let me rephrase that. He's gone up against one elite defense in Texas Tech, and he struggled. But outside of that, we've gone up against a lot of mediocre talent, and he's eaten them alive. So this will kind of be a little more of the middle range, but I would say, Arizona State's pass defense doesn't look good. I would probably put them in the range of, not trying to be rude, I would put them in the category of West Virginia, where they let up a lot of yards, and I don't think they have as good of a pass rush as West Virginia. And so I actually think we're going to eat a lot. And it looks like what they're good at is stopping the big play receivers, like guys that get downfield and get open, which we aren't good at that. Like, that's not what we do. We don't get downfield and get open. That's like Dallin Bentley's good at that, but that's not what our offense thrives on. Our offense thrives on dink and dunk, make guys miss, and it looks like they are susceptible to that. So I think we're going to see a big day from Ryan Davis. If we can get Wayshawn Parker involved in the pass game, I think we'll see a big day from him. That looks like a really good matchup for us in our pass offense against their pass defense. Seriously. And now let's flip the script. Our defense against their offense. So let's start with their rushing attack. I think they've got an advantage there, right? We've shown susceptible to miss some tackles. Like whether I feel like that's more towards the end of the game, and I think that plays out for most teams more drastically with us. But I think they'll make us look a little silly. I think Sam Levitt will get some yards when it comes to broken tackles. I think their running back, Verleek Brown will make us miss. He's averaging 100 plus yards a game, and they haven't played an easy schedule. Let's be real. They played a decent schedule. So they're going to test us. They're really going to test us. on the rushing attack. But I do think we still are a good to very good rushing defense, right? Like as an overall rule, just like with them, like I talked about, where they cause a lot of negative plays, but they have some problems. We're really similar, where we cause a lot of negative plays, but we also have some problems. Um, and then when it comes to pass defense, our passing defense versus their passing attack, I think um, there's a clear advantage for them when it comes to their number one guy against our DB room. I think that's fair. Like that's what they thrive on is getting Jordan Tyson downfield one on one, letting him make a big play. He's averaging nearly 100 yards a game, right? That's clear. But I think our pass rush has gone against some good teams. I don't think our pass rush has been incredibly tested. Like not against good offensive lines, like not a ton of them. But also their offensive line doesn't look very good, and they haven't gone against any elite units in the pass rush game. And we do have an elite unit in the pass rush game. I mean, I think we're up there top 5, top 10 with anyone. I mean, you looked at the numbers. I really believe that to be the case. And so I think we're going to eat, especially with some of those mismatches with their guard and their tackle that have allowed 8 and 11 and 8 pass rushes, especially, bro, if you were creating pass rush in the defensive interior, which looks like where they're most susceptible, that ruins plays. Like when you're a quarterback, you're kind of expecting pressure to come off the edge from time to time. But if it's coming up the gut, how do you adjust for that? That is tough. So I think we're going to cause some havoc there. The other thing, just going back to our passing offense against their passing defense, I think our offensive line is going to shut down their pass defense. I think they'll get a couple pressures, but I don't think they're getting much. I mean, we have proven it against great pass rush units that we are top tier when it comes to blocking the pass rush. So I think a big advantage there. I actually really think we could dominate through the air in this game. Like, call me crazy. I think we could see, 275 to 300 passing yards for Devin Dampier. And that's only if it's like a really competitive game. I could even see more. Honestly, it's really how I feel when I look at these numbers. So I think a big part of our rushing attack against their rushing defense is going to be, can we get second level and block those linebackers? Those two linebackers grade out super well, and they're going to be a key part of this. And that's going to be a key part of it for their rushing attack as well, where we have two linebackers that are really good. Can you block them? Can you get next level and make their safeties look bad? The two teams, even what's his name? Kenny Dillingham was talking about it. Like he tries to build Arizona State in the mold of Utah, and it does feel that way. Like you look, there's a lot of parity across these teams, right? Like Sam Levitt and Devin Dampier, almost the exact same amount of passing yards, both dynamic rushers. So, um, very interesting matchup here. I did not. I want to clarify going into this game for the breakdown. I did not expect to favor Utah a ton. I expected this to be a very competitive matchup, and I still believe there's a world where this is a very competitive matchup. But when you factor in Utah looked amazing against West Virginia. Now, West Virginia is not a great team, but I thought they showed some life against BYU. And that game was competitive into the fourth quarter. Like, agreed, BYU was winning the game somewhat handedly, but it wasn't over. Like, it was like 31-17 at one point. And so it was like, if they caught fire, they could definitely come back. And so Utah made West Virginia look like they had no business. And that was at West Virginia, where the BYU game was at Provo. And so I feel very good about Utah right now. And looking at the numbers, guys, I'm gonna call this one as a pretty good win for Utah. That's how I'm feeling, and I'm gonna trust my gut. I've got Utah winning this game with a high-powered offensive attack. We come out, there'll be some negative plays, probably be a couple turnovers, and hopefully Whittingham doesn't, stop being creative if we turn the ball over. I see us winning this game 38-24. I don't see this offense putting up more than 24 points on our defense. Again, a lot of that is, can we contain Sam Levitt? Can we make tackles on Raleek Brown? And can we limit Jordan Tyson to 50, 60 yards? But I don't see how they score more than 24 points on our defense if we get the the job done in that area, which seems very realistic, right? We got a lot of mismatches on our defense against their offense, with our linebackers, with our pass rush against their pass block. And we got a lot of mismatches with our offense against their defense. So I think we're going to see a dominant win here, guys. That's not what I expected. And if you guys are familiar with my channel, I really do. I call balls and strikes. I always assume a Utah win, just being honest. But if I think it's going to be close, I think it's going to be close. And that I felt like Texas Tech was going to be extremely close and a knife fight. And it was very close up until the very end of the game. And I don't see that being the case here. I see Utah actually getting a big statement win against the number 21 team in Arizona State. And I see us jumping up pretty big in the rankings. I think Arizona State's still a good team, but I don't think they can bring what they'll need to bring if they want to get a win at Rice Eccles. That's my thoughts, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Like the video. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Am I too optimistic? Am I missing anything? I want to know your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm out of here. Go Utes.
Hut, hut, fight!